But the word Trinity, right, from my research and from my belief, is that that word was originated from a man named Constantine.
Based on her research, ladies and gentlemen, her research revealed that the word Trinity was invented by the Roman Emperor Constantine. And to anyone who has any clue about anything, and guys, I'm not even like a church history guy, or the councils, or theology. And it's just, I mean, I'm sitting here like, how would you not know that? And she was prepared, and she came in prepared for that. But that's a problem, guys. You have tons of people who converted from, after they're raised in a church, they convert to Islam based on did you know that the Trinity was invented by Constantine? And it never crosses their mind, let me go look up what this person is saying. And so what happens is, whatever they were told by some Dawa clown who gets them to convert, they'll just say, based on my research. What research? You obviously didn't do any research, like zero. Or you read some like terrible tracks, or went to a terrible Dawa website. But here's the problem, ma'am. What you're saying, everything you've said so far is factually incorrect. Factually. I don't mean we disagree. It is factually false. Anthony, is it factually false that Constantine came up with the word Trinity? Is that factually false?
Yes.
Okay.
The term was used by Tertullian, and then a corresponding term, and Tertullian's well before Nicaea. A corresponding term was used by Theophilus. So, it's not Constantine, but besides that, she's talking about the
That's why I
Council of
said
Nicaea.
he had to invent time travel as well. Trinity and time travel.
But notice, besides that, like, she's using this as some kind of argument against Nicaea and it not being biblical. But where does the word Trinity appear in the Council of Nicaea, or the creed, the Nicene Creed? Yeah, right. It's not in there, so it's really irrelevant, right?
Yeah. And again, the what? By the way, we'll let her finish. Watch what Christina does, because I have to say, I would have taken the bait on this one. I would have taken the bait, right? Really? Not that this woman was intentionally baiting her, but when a person just says like 20 false things in a row, you have, there's a pretty strong urge to start correcting that person. But if you start correcting all this nonsense and talking about Constantine and stuff, what's the topic? Is the Trinity biblical? So that would all be off topic if you actually fall for that. So anyway, watch what Christina does right here. It's brilliant.
Right? From my research and from my belief, is that that word was originated from a man named Constantine. And if you're familiar with him in the Nicene Creed, there was a council of men. Right.
Are you familiar with him in the Nicene Creed?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the book of Nicaea for a second.
She refers to this as something she's done research on. No research, like the slightest of research, is going to show you this is not true.
Yeah, 5 minutes of research. 5 minutes of research would show you. Going to Wikipedia and reading Wikipedia for 2 or 3 minutes would have showed you that this is complete nonsense. But so she didn't do that level of research, which means she's just, this is what I heard and I converted based on this. And again, ma'am, I don't know anything about you. You seem nice. You just, everything you just said is complete nonsense. So if that was the sort of things, if those were the sort of things you were told that convinced you to leave Christianity and convert to Islam or whatever, you fell for some complete nonsense. And at this point, it'd be a good time to look into these things and then realize, I converted based on a bunch of lies. So maybe I need to re-examine that. That would just be some basic advice.
And Constantine, let's talk a little bit about his history. Constantine was originally a pagan worshiper, and then he converted to Christianity because the Roman Empire at the time, it needed strength. But the Romans were sun god worshipers. And so he knew after he accepted Christianity that he would have to enter or mix paganism with Christianity in order for Rome to take Christianity as the religion.
So much for
Anthony,
oh boy.
What in that entire little rant right there, what was, apart from there was an emperor named Constantine who was previously a pagan, how much did she get correct?
Well, none of the rest, as far as I can recollect.
None of the rest. It's like when Muslims argue like scientific miracles and stuff, and you go through what the Quran actually says, and it's like, okay, apart from there is a sun and there is a moon and there are stars, what did he get right about the universe? Like what? Because everything else is wrong. That's kind of what it is. My goodness.
By the way, I've heard people try to make this connection before, and I don't know if this is what she was doing, but I've heard people, like her kind of talk about this before, and they kind of link like sun god worship, like
Yes,
using
S-U-N
English
with
terms,
S-O-N. Yeah, and they don't
S-O-N,
realize.
whereas
I've heard
it
that.
only
I've heard
works in
that
English.
thousands of times.
Yeah.
Thousands of times. It was really big in
Yeah.
prison, and so they worship the sun, and so they had to go with Jesus, the sun, to replace the sun. It's like, that only works in English,
Works in
right? Because the
English,
word.
yeah.
One thing just to throw in is, this sounds good, right? Somebody says something like, here's the emperor, he's running the show, he's got this iron fist, and here's all these little cowering Christians, and they're basically going to buckle to whatever he wants, right? So he's got this agenda to unite the empire, and he's going to get the Christians to be syncretists and mix Christianity with paganism and so forth. But what this doesn't reflect is what you'd learn after 6 minutes of study, right? So she's apparently done 5 or less. But after 6 minutes of study, you find out that the Christians who attended the council were people who came out of a prior persecution known as the Great Persecution under Diocletian. And so when you look at accounts of the Council of Nicaea and the description of the bishops that are attending it, it's really rather remarkable. The descriptions are of people
tortured.
coming. Yeah, they've been tortured.
Some of them had been hamstrung, right? That's where they cut your Achilles tendon and stuff, and you can't walk and stuff like that. These guys had been horribly persecuted and had just gone through it all. Here's the relevance of Constantine. Constantine, as a Roman emperor, he wanted order. He wanted order, didn't want chaos and stuff like that. And so what does he do? He brings them together. You guys figure this out. You guys figure this out and come up with your official positions on these issues. Why? Because for the first couple centuries, Christianity's persecuted. Christians just weren't in a position to get together for a big council, and Christians from different areas and stuff like that. All of a sudden, it becomes a legal religion, and you've got the Roman emperor saying, "Hey, you guys get together for a council." And then he does this. That's his actual role. And if you see, he invented the Trinity. Oh my goodness.
Christianity as the religion.
Thank you so much for sharing that. But the focus of the prompt is whether or not it's biblical. So I want to talk with you about what's
I
actually.
should have put that on my soundboard from Mortal Kombat. Get over here. That's what she just did, right? She said, that's not the topic. So get over here. This is the topic. That was brilliant. Watch that again, guys.
Paganism with Christianity in order for Rome to take Christianity as the religion.
Thank you so much for sharing that. But the focus of the prompt is whether or not it's biblical.
Well, we got to go to the source first, because Jesus said he was sent. He said his Father sent him. So how can you be equal to the sender? You can't. Now, what you can have is unity and oneness. And oneness is different than Trinity.
Trinity. Triune.
But I want to get your thoughts on this,
Okay,
because
go
when
ahead.
you're at work, does your manager have authority over you?
Yes.
So are you guys equal in authority?
No.
But are they greater in personhood than you? Are they a better human being than you, or a greater human being than you? So in one sense, you guys are equal, but in another sense, they have authority over you.
What Christine is obviously pointing out here is, and it takes her a while to get it, that you can have a manager who has authority over you. So in one sense, he's greater than you in authority, but in another sense, you're a fellow human being.